Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Small Biz Better Summit. Can you believe the lineup of speakers we have had so far? We've had a lot of great summits in the past. This summit is really one of my favorites because we just have so many amazing speakers. You've witnessed several already, and you're about to witness another amazing speaker right now. We have Miss Amy Summers. How are you doing, Amy?
Good. Thank you so much, Marcus, for including me.
Oh, it is our pleasure. We're so happy to have you. Amy is the pitch queen. She is the Pitch Publicity NYC.com queen. Make sure you show Amy Summers some love. She is absolutely awesome, absolutely amazing. I actually met Amy Summers through Alexa. Oh, stop. No, I have the Amazon. Stop. Nothing. Okay. So yeah. I have the Amazon that word all over the office, and so every time I accidentally say her name, she comes on like I really want to talk to her at that moment. Most of the time, yeah, this time, no.
Yes, I'll give you a little pro tip on that. Whenever you want to talk about her but not have her respond, you call her Lexi. That's her nickname.
Real? Oh, see, did I tell you Amy Summers was really going to bring the heat? And we haven't even started yet, and she's already bringing the heat.
You don't really want her interjecting. Her nickname's Lexi, and we all know what that really means.
I love that. Wait a minute. What does it really mean?
It means Alexa, but we're not going to say Alexa because then she's going to start talking to you again.
I get. See, she came on. Yeah, I like that. I never thought of that. See, I love these nice little workarounds, and that's one of the big, beautiful things about the speakers that we have on the summit in each one of their areas: marketing, sales, publicity. That we're going to talk about now. All of these experts, they have so many great little tweaks that we can all add to our daily lives, all add to our business lives, all add to our personal lives. And these little tweaks can just make such a big difference. And so, as you just witnessed, we're about to experience a lot of that from Amy Summers, who is, I mentioned earlier, who is the pitch queen, pitch publicity queen. So we're going to talk a lot about pitching. We're going to talk about PRs. Our theme for this summit has been 2020 vision, new levels in your life and new levels in your business. And how can PR and pitching really come into play there? And so we got a lot of great stuff for you. So Amy, again, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, our pleasure, our pleasure. And I want to start off, I really want to ask you, so first of all, how did you get into pitch? How did you get into pitch publicity? How did you start this company? And I know it's your passion, but can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in this?
Sure, absolutely. So I actually got my degree in public relations, which, you know, a lot of people get their degrees and they don't actually go into that career field. I did. And I started my company 17 years ago. Actually, it'll be officially 17 years ago this February, so I'm really excited about that. But I started my company when I was just 26 years old, and typical entrepreneur story, I got fired from my job. So you hear this a lot, you know. The reason why I got fired from a small agency PR job that I had was because my bosses decided to do something really strange, and we won't get into that because that'll be a whole show. But what they wanted us to sign off on something that was not really ethical from PR standards to operate under. And I was just very clear with my bosses that I really respected them, but it is not something that I could sign off on, and that I would, you know, need to not continue to work there. And anyway, they promised me a bunch of deals. I was very young at the time. They were kind of freaking out that I was leaving, and they ended up firing me once they got all the information they needed. So it wasn't really a good experience for me in that sense. I kind of just got kicked to the curb. And I actually remember hearing my two female bosses say to me as they were kicking me out, you know, she's just a young girl. She's not a threat. We're not going to, you know, we don't need to worry about her. So I got treated really poorly. I didn't get paid my last paycheck, or vacation pay I didn't take, or I mean, all these HR rules were, you know, I mean, they didn't pay attention to any of them. So I went to a lawyer just to try to see, hey, can I get compensated for, and at the time it's so funny because when I think back, I think only making maybe $28,000 a year. I mean, it was really ridiculous. I was just trying to get my last paycheck. And I was treated so poorly that they put me in a really rough spot. So at the time, we were at war with Iraq. Nobody was really hiring in the market that I was, looking for a job in. And really, Pitch Publicity started because I had 5 former clients who wanted to continue to work with me, and they didn't know each other, but they all sent individually checks in the mail to me. And they said, look, we don't know when you're going to get another job or what agency you're going to be at, but in the meantime, could you just pitch for us? Please continue to do what you were already doing, which is being their publicist, pitching them to the news media, getting them news interviews. That's what I was doing, as they were my clients, and that's what I was doing for them. And so that's really how my business got started. So I don't have this, big story that I went to school and got an MBA and, had a big business plan. I never had a business plan for Pitch. I literally just learned in the trenches because my bosses left me alone at work and put me in charge of a bunch of stuff while they were not there. And so I really learned their business from them allowing me to do their business. And then unfortunately, I still think back and I think if they would have just paid me my last paycheck, I would have probably just found somewhere else to work eventually. But they put me in such a desperate state that, I ended up starting Pitch Publicity. I was kind of forced into it. And I took their business model, but I made it better. And so here I am 17 years later. It is definitely a blessing in disguise for me because especially being a female in this business, it's very hard to get ahead. And I still just remember what they said to me as I was leaving. So I'm always telling entrepreneurs and business owners, do not ever doubt the potential of somebody, no matter what their age is or their gender or who they are. If you put somebody in a desperate situation and they're a hustler like me, I'm going to end up being your competition. And that's what ended up happening. And Pitch has been a huge success since then. And I'm really grateful actually for that. That happened to me. At the time it was terribly stressful and upsetting. But again, I think you always grow from these things, and that's how you can learn and really teach others. And so I'm really passionate about entrepreneurship too, and helping people understand how to run good companies.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's such a powerful story because we often so many people, they kind of romanticize entrepreneurship. They think, I'm going to start my business and it's going to go, I laugh as I even think of the thought of, just a straight exponential curve or a straight line up. Entrepreneurship, it often starts from what we can view at the time as a tragedy or a deficit. And there's often a whole lot of this on the way up. There's often this whole, the point is never a straight line. It's
it's messy, and people don't always talk about the messy parts. Right. I shared a very messy part with you on how it even got started. And I think about how I started Pitch in my, office in my home, that was really a bedroom, and it was not glamorous at all. And I was hustling hard. And, I worked for myself for a couple years before I could start hiring staff and starting to even think about growing it. But I think the starting point always is you have to love what you do. And it can't be about the money. Of course, I needed a job, and I figured, I just kept telling myself, I'm just going to do this until an offer comes along. And I guess that's not what God's plan was for my career, because He had a different thing in mind. But I didn't even have a website, a logo, an official name for the first 6 months that I was running my business. I was just doing what I love, which was helping people better communicate, helping them get their stories out there to the press, helping them articulate their messages to the public. And I just really enjoy doing that. And once I started doing it with the 5 I started with, they referred all these people to me, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to get official here and get a website or something. So
that's awesome. Yeah. I love that story, and I love the realness of your story. And great, it's amazing. Like you said, it's a blessing in disguise. Except it's no longer in disguise. It's out in the open, right?
Out there.
I love that because again, so many people, they romanticize entrepreneurship, but getting the real, and that's one thing we're about here at the summit and at our agency and at your agency, is let's get down to the real. And people really respond to that. People a lot of people can't respond to a perfect career path, but people can respond to a boss that maybe made questionable decisions or being fired from a job.
And I've never had investors, and I've never had, funders, and, we live in this world where it's like Kickstart and GoFundMe, and I never had any of that. And I still don't. I'm totally self-funded. I don't even know if I would want that at this point. But, I would just encourage anybody that's, at your conference, like, you can do this. You don't have to have a pile of money or an MBA to start. All you have to have is passion and drive. And if you have those two things, the business comes to you. It just does. Opportunities come.
I love that. Mm-hmm. It's ironic. I forget who said it, but I was at a conference. They said the number one way to ruin a business is to get an MBA. And I can attest, I actually have an MBA, and I absolutely use nothing that I learned from my MBA from a reputable school. I think at the time we were 43rd or so in the degrees I was getting there, but I use nothing from it now in my business. Everything that I use in my business is the trenches, things I learned in the trenches, things I learned from.
It's so funny because I didn't have that MBA education. I just had my bachelor's in PR, and sometimes you question your abilities. Like, are people going to think that I don't know what I'm doing, running at this business? But it is funny because I go to colleges and speak to business students in MBA programs, and I have to tell you, out of all the professional speakers that come speak to them, they constantly tell me they're so relieved when I come to speak because I tell them the truth of what's going on. I don't speak in all these metaphorical ideas of what's happening, and they really appreciate hearing the raw, how do you, lay off somebody, or how do you, build a team. They want to know, like, how do you really do it? Not from a book way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. As I reflect, most of my entrepreneurial career has been spent unlearning what I learned in the MBA program. So
that's funny.
Yeah, I'm a full-on believer of, having mentors, having speakers like yourself who are actually in the trenches, who actually do what they're talking about, not from a book. And even when we do our seminars now, when we do this conference, the summit now that you guys are watching, that's the same principle. Give us the real, what is the day-to-day, not from a book, not from this romantic. A lot of people have a romanticized view of entrepreneurship because it's romanticized in textbooks. All right, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 15. And then we get this kind of stair-step linear ideology of entrepreneurship, and it's not the case. So I'm so glad you shared that with us. And I'm sure if anybody out there, listen to the story, because this is real. This is how entrepreneurship starts. Not all of us have this trajectory of the smooth kind of journey of entrepreneurship. It happens just kind of by happenstance. My case included, right? So a lot of us, so I'm glad. See, me and Amy, we just vibed when we first met each other because we had so much in common. And that was something I didn't know we had in common. So that's awesome too. All right. So one thing I want to ask you about and we get this question a lot, right? So pitching, being on the news, newspapers, all of these great things, more along the lines of PR or public relations. And I actually did a seminar about 2 weeks ago, and someone in the audience asked, hey, what is the difference between PR and marketing? And a lot of people don't know. Can you shed some light on that for us?
Sure, I'd be happy to, because it definitely gets confused a lot. And being that PR is my career, this is really important for me to share. The main difference between PR and marketing is public relations is just what the word says. It's developing relationships with your public. So I want you to think about public relations as your relationship builder. Marketing, that big M word at the front, is your money maker. So marketing is all figuring out how to sell stuff and how to make money. And so where it gets confused a lot of the times is that, unfortunately, in a lot of corporations, the PR professionals or PR department has been swept into marketing. And so where marketing's up here and PR is maybe down here, where it should really look like it should be equal. So the PR person and the marketing executive, both executives should have a seat at the table with the CEO advising them, because the PR person is going to advise about what should we be doing that's right? What should we be doing for our customers or clients, that is good and that's ethical and that's correct, if money is not an issue. And the marketing person's job obviously is to make money for the company, and a lot of times their role is mixed in with sales and marketing, so you hear that together a lot of times. And the CEO should be hearing, from both, because they do work together, but PR is not marketing. And what happens sometimes is because the PR person is swept under the marketing person will use PR as a tool to help them with their initiatives and their goals to make money. And you can, so for example, if I get a client on, Fox News and they end up talking about their product, maybe that product starts selling because they were on the news station, right? But that media interview's main purpose is not to sell product. So that doesn't always happen. But a lot of times marketing will get excited about this and they'll say, oh, we need to do this all the time for the purposes of making money. And so they're using a PR tool, which is really a goodwill tool for your company, to educate, inform, help the public out. And they're trying to turn that into a money-making thing. Again, in an ideal world, we're all working together, but you really have to make sure that within your company and with your customers, that you're not always just trying to sell them all the time. There is a relationship build that happens because people are loyal, they come back to you, they stick with you, and all of that is built on a relationship. It's not because you are constantly sending them a coupon or another email or marketing to them. It's just like, if you have a significant other and you go home to that person every day and you never hug them, you never tell them any compliments, you never just talk to them, but you're always asking, hey, did you get the kitchen clean today? And, are the bills paid? It's always like about money. That relationship is just not going to work out very long. And
oh, wow. Yeah, I can imagine. That would not be a good relationship to be in at all.
We're already hitting up somebody all the time, for making money. It's just not going to last long. So it's the same thing in business. We're humans, and so we want relationships.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And people forget that, especially with social media now. We see it all the time. Businesses are on social media. They're trying to sell, and they're forgetting the relationship part. We're not saying there's anything wrong with selling, but there's a relationship built. There's levels to it. If your significant other came to you and the first time they met you, they said, hey, how you doing? My name is Marcus. Let's get married. Yeah. You probably.
I'd be running away from you, Marcus.
Exactly. Sure. Right. Yeah.
Do not call this, block.
Yeah. I hate the visual of that. I'm like, I should have used someone else in this example. Yeah. But that's the truth, right? And that's the same thing with sales and social media, right?
Social media is a great tool for, PR. It's a great PR tool because you can build relationships on social media. But again, we're always really quick to try to figure out, how do we monetize this? Oh, Instagram's great. Now how can we make money on Instagram? And so if you don't have that audience and following, people are smart. They're going to drop off. Now, once you've developed that relationship and then you want to sell them something on that platform, they're not going to be offended. Now, if you try to sell them every single day, you might lose them.
I love that. Building the relationship. Remember, social media, let's be on there to be social.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that's awesome. And that's something that's so important. And I hope all our business owners are listening to this. It's a relationship. And I love how you even helped me realize in our first chat a couple of weeks ago, when we were talking about PR, how the summit is actually one of our PR initiatives, because it's not a financial thing. We don't look to make money off of the summit. It's really a give back. It's really like, hey, we learned so much. We hear so many issues from small business owners. How can we help you? How can we help you just be better? So how can we help you small biz better? And this is one of those ways.
And I think it's great that you're doing that, Marcus. And it's very commendable, again, because The goal is always, you want to help others. It always flows back to you in some way, unexpected, maybe not directly, but I always say, if you're putting good out in the world, it will come back to you. If somebody calls me and they want to tap into my contacts and they want me to network them with somebody, I will connect them. I'm not going to charge them. There are some professionals, they got to make a buck off of every connection after every appointment. I probably lost a lot of money not doing that, but I don't know how much money I've gained from doing that because I have a very successful business. I'm very well connected. And a lot of times it's coming from just that generosity and relationship first.
I love that.
Don't worry about how am I going to get paid first. Worried about how can I serve others, and it always will flow back.
I love that. That's a principle we have here too. Serve, be about service. And if you're doing what you love and you're coming from a place of service, the money will come. I love that principle. Mm-hmm. And something we also get a lot, because we have that same kind of philosophy, is, hey, okay, yeah, if I'm doing all this good for the world, how does that come back? Or how do I see the non-monetary gain from that? And maybe could you speak on that a little bit for those who aren't aware of what are some of the benefits of PR? What are some of the how can they use that in their business to benefit the business and benefit those people who they are looking to serve, even though it's not monetary?
Yeah, so, beyond the relationship, PR is a great tool to educate the public. Sometimes we have products that are very complicated, that need a lot of explanation. Maybe they're a new concept or new idea. And so when you're ever dealing with, either a product that you're restricted and maybe because of legal reasons, you can't put a lot on the label about it, or you're restricted in what you can do in advertising, or something just needs to be explained. People need to understand why they might have a need for whatever it is you're selling or the service that you're doing. PR is a great education tool to educate the public. It's also, like I mentioned, a great relationship builder. It's very important to have good PR so that you're always doing the right thing. So, for example, we hear a lot of discussion today about getting women in the C-suite and getting more women in leadership, and that's kind of was a popular theme last year. It seemed like every other day on LinkedIn, another company announced, well, we hired this woman to be our CEO, or we hired this woman to be in our boardroom, but from a PR perspective, what you really want to do is you want to look at what is our overall diversity in our company, and how are we really integrating that, and making sure that you're not making the mistake of making some big announcement that your company's diverse, when in reality, maybe this person that's in the CE role is not really in charge. Maybe it's really the board of directors. So who's on the board of directors, and is that group diverse? And so PR should be able to call things out. A lot of times I think we'll hear that a company has a PR problem. You'll hear that a lot. And I would challenge most of those comments to say, maybe the company doesn't have a PR problem. Maybe they have an ethical problem that PR could potentially fix. Oh, no. So when you look at, big companies that have done things that are not right, like this Weinstein case or Wells Fargo, and people point the finger and they say, oh, they have a PR problem. I'm not sure that it's a PR problem. Again, it may be an ethical problem. And the PR team needs to look at that and figure out how can we do the right thing. Mm-hmm.
I love that, because when you think about reputation management, I can see PR being a tool to help in that reputation management. But if there's a problem with the, I love how you say that it's not a PR problem, it's an ethical problem. We wouldn't need to do this reputation management at the level that we're doing it if there wasn't this kind of ethical or operational or whatever kind of issue inside the company, from a cultural issue or a cultural standpoint, or a company cultural, I should say, standpoint.
The PR person, it's in PR, it's your role to say, did we do the right thing or did we not do the right thing? And we did not do the right thing. We need to be honest. And it's that honesty thing. And it's not, I really, it unnerves me when people talk about PR people being spin people. they shouldn't be. You know, if they are, they're doing the profession wrong. You know, and I'll give you an example. You probably remember this, but not too long ago, you know, Starbucks got in hot water, you know, when they had 2 customers in there that didn't buy a drink, wanted to use the bathroom. It turned into a big ordeal. They got, you know, escorted out by police. And I mean, really horrible, right? But Starbucks did the right thing, because the very next day they said, we were wrong. We have a diversity problem, and we're going to fix it. So we're going to shut down all the Starbucks across the country. I remember that day because I couldn't get into Starbucks. And they lost a lot of money that day. They had diversity training for all Starbucks employees. They changed their policies so that you can use the bathroom, you know, and not buy a drink. They fixed it. They didn't wait around, you know, for months denying that, you know, they were right and these people were wrong, and they didn't mess around too long. And so that's an example of how PR is used well. Somebody was well advised there at Starbucks to say, nope, let's just admit it. We didn't do the right thing. This is a mess, and it shouldn't have happened in our store. And we need to change our policy, and we need to go through diversity training as well.
I love that. That's a great example, a great case study. Because I do remember when that happened, and I do remember the fallout from it, and just to how you show how they exemplified, hey, we were wrong and we admit it. You know, instead of most, like you said, most PR are kind of spinning people. Well, you know, so-and-so, they were doing this and there was suspicious behavior.
And I also question, like, when companies take a long time to make decisions, I often wonder, is that because they don't have good PR counsel, or are they not letting that PR counsel person sit at the table with them to speak to them? Sometimes I wonder, is it the marketing person that's saying, no, let's not shut down the stores, we're going to lose money? Or, you know, is it that lawyer that they have on the team? Like, so that's why the PR role is really important, because the PR mind is objective. It should be objective. It doesn't have any other interest in that other than we have to do what's right, even if it costs us money, even if it costs us our reputation. We need to fix it. And some people might not remember that Starbucks story because they acted on it so quick. You know, you let things draw out, and that's when it becomes a PR nightmare, because you're not doing anything about it.
I love that. I so love that. Authenticity, bringing authenticity back to PR, marketing, the news, business, and relationships, authentic relationships. And that's really what we're talking about here.
Yes.
We just had I just had a realization with my own digital marketing agency about towards the end of last year. And for 12 years, we've been calling ourselves a digital marketing agency, a better digital marketing agency. But then I realized we're not a digital marketing agency. We're a connection agency. We're about connection, and digital marketing is one of the tools that we use to help better, more authentic connections between individuals.
You got it.
And so I told you we're vibing. We are vibing. Awesome sauce. One other thing I wanted to ask you, when small businesses are thinking about, because everybody, you know, marketing is the big buzzword, but when we think about PR, and now that now everyone knows how important it can be in their business and how you really want to include PR at the same level as you're doing your marketing, what are some of the strategies, like the top 1 or 2 strategies that they can do to build a PR presence, to get on shows, to get on news shows, to get on radio shows?
Sure. So, and that's the other thing for small business, PR is a great tool, because I mean, compared to advertising, you're going to spend a lot less money on PR, right? Now, you're going to spend more time for sure, because you're not buying the opportunities. It's more work. It's more unpredictable, because when we're talking about getting media opportunities that are earned and you're not buying, you have less control. You have less control of when they're going to air, if the media person is going to be interested in it or not, how they're going to portray you. I mean, you could think that, well, I have a great product, and they end up doing a review on it, and it's a horrible review, so you better hope you have a good product. You know, I always tell clients, are you sure you want media? Have you tested your product? I mean, we don't want to go out there with something that doesn't really work. So, because the media is going to report on it as it is. In advertising, you have full control. You say what font you want, what color you want, where you want it positioned, how you want it positioned, how you want it to sound, how you want it to look, what day you want it on, what time, how many times you want it repeated. You don't get that in PR, but advertising is also a lot more expensive, so you're paying for that control. The other great thing about PR is that, especially for a small business and someone just starting out, it does provide that authenticity. So, a lot of people, especially if you're a new business or it's a new product, in the beginning cycles of that that product cycle, it's actually good for the consumers to discover you. Now, they can't discover you if they don't learn about you, and they can't learn about you if you're not getting press about whatever it is you're promoting, right? If they learn about you for the first time in a Super Bowl ad, for example, they might say, well, that was a cool ad, but I have no idea who this company is, right? That's $1 million. And you can do that and take the risk. Monster.com did that years ago, and it was, a huge success. But that doesn't happen all the time. So in the beginning product cycle, it's good to help with discoverability. You want to help the customer feel like, I found out about this natural supplement myself. I found out about ashwagandha myself, and I'm really excited about it. And I learned about it from an article or a news story, and get them excited that way. PR can help you with the discovery process because it's not so forced. Whereas an ad is like, buy me now, I'm the best, I'm the greatest. And when it comes through on the news, it's different because it's more educational. You're talking about a larger issue that maybe the product's addressing, and it's just one of maybe many solutions. But then the customer gets to say, hey, that's really credible because it was on the news and it wasn't being force-fed to me, through an advertisement.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. As you were speaking, I was thinking about Google searches. A lot of time you'll enter something in Google search and you enter your thing, you hit enter, and then up pops a list. And at the top of that list, there's some of them that say ad, and then below the 2 ads or 3 advertisements, there's the organic.
Right.
And even in marketing, those organics have a lot more credibility associated than the ads, because they know somebody paid to be at the top of this search versus these organics. Okay, this is just a natural relationship building, exactly what you're talking about here. I love that. I love that analogy.
And I've also worked with really large companies that have the budget to do big advertising campaigns, but maybe they're launching a product that they're not really sure how the customer is going to take or what the reaction is going to be from the media. And so they've hired me to do the PR campaign. So sometimes leading with a PR strategy is a less expensive way to do research, kind of market research on how your product's going to be received. So you can work out a lot of messaging in PR, like something's not resonating, try something else, without having to spend all that money on a bunch of ad buys and find out later, nobody gets that. Or, I'm trying to sell a fertility pill and nobody understands what we're saying, or it's not resonating with couples, what this fertility pill is about. So the company I did this with had actually a pet food product that was a natural organic product. Now, this is before natural and organic pet foods got really popular. And what ended up happening was their marketing team then mimicked and started using taglines and stuff from my PR campaign that what we found were resonating with the public and that was really taking off. And so it's a great way to kind of experiment a little bit and just see how are people going to respond to this before you put in the big money and the big bucks behind something and really go full force on the marketing. You want to make sure that your messages are tested. Because a lot of times what we think is a great idea, as the business owner, remember, we're inundated in it already. So our ideas are, sometimes we're drinking our own Kool-Aid and we get out there and we realize, what, the general public doesn't really care about that. They just want to know they're going to lose weight or something more simple than you had expected, whatever the message should be.
That is so true. In fact, that's every client that comes to us, they, and you rightfully should feel like your product is the best thing since sliced bread. But a lot of times us entrepreneurs, we're in this tunnel vision, or we're in the silo or this vacuum, surrounded by our products and our services, and we don't realize, okay, there's also a billion with a B other businesses that are in their silos all trying to reach the consumer, right? And so it requires us to break out of those silos, really get to know our consumers, but really get to know their needs, their pain points. How can we best serve them? Going back to what you said earlier, how can we serve you? How can we alleviate your pain or make you aware of a pain that you maybe didn't know that you had, and alleviate it once you make you aware of it? And so I love that. We're connected. We are just fine. We are vibing. Cool beans. Another thing I wanted to ask you, and it's something that we hear. Well, all of these things are things that we hear all the time, but they talk about how PR is hard, how PR takes so much time, how PR takes, and many people just, I guess, don't see how to do it effectively. Do you have any tips for small business owners that can help them do PR more effectively? Maybe it's their press kit, maybe it's their outreach, or anything. I'll leave it wide open.
Sure. I think the biggest mistake people make when they're pitching the media is they're not considering the media's filter. They're only considering theirs. So just like you said, they think they have the best product out there since forever, and they are going to rush and tell the media, hey, I have the replacement, for Gatorade or something, and it's a healthier Gatorade, and they just go right into like all the features, benefits, difference. This is the product. This is the one everyone should be taking. This is gonna, fix people who have problems with diabetes or whatever their message is. And what you have to remember is that it's not the media's job to promote your product. If you want, they're going to send you to the advertising department if you hit them like that. So what you have to do is you actually have to watch the media and see what they're covering. And the media has their own filter when they're putting together stories. Now, a lot of times their stories to you and I might look like a big commercial plug for some company, but they never start out that way. That's not how they get on the news. That is a result of a journalist doing their own vetting, putting together their own story after they've evaluated. And who knows if that journalist really thinks that this is, the best replacement for Gatorade or, the answer for diabetics. They're going to portray it that way, but it's after they've vetted it through. But you don't pitch it that way. So when you're thinking about pitching a story, you have to be thinking about what is the national relevance of what I'm talking about? What does my product or service have to do with everything else that's going on in the world right now? So like, for example, we're in an election year for the president. There's all kinds of things happening. We just entered into a new decade. There's, talk of a potential recession. People aren't sure about that. So you want to look at overarching themes that are happening. What are people talking about in general, nationally? And then you want to drill it down to your local market. So if you're pitching a local market, what's happening in that community? Are they having really bad weather? Maybe there's a weather angle there. Has there been a problem with school shootings, or is there something specific in that area that has anything or relates anything to what your product or service can deliver on? So we have national relevance, local angle. You want to consider both of those because a journalist is looking at both of those when they're putting together stories. The third thing is called human interest. And so that is, how does this affect the regular person? Because when the news reports something, their audience is the regular person, right? So they want to know, if you had a product that, helped people lose weight, is there a regular person out there that you could also pitch with your story that says they tried this and they lost 30 pounds and they had a great success story? That would be a human interest story. That would be, a real story about somebody that used your product or service, had a good success with it, that the media can now share that story because they can interview them too. So they're not always just looking for experts. They're looking for are people actually using this stuff? Is it effective? So human interest. And then last thing, and this is probably one of the most important ones, is called a news peg, or in other words, why do we have to talk about this right now? So you have to tie it in to what's happening, right? So it's Super Bowl weekend. So maybe we want to talk about, what foods to get at a tailgate and what are the best foods. And who knows, maybe you have the most natural organic tortilla chip that's not going to make everyone blow up and, you know, not feel good on the next day after Super Bowl. And that's the Super Bowl chip everybody should have at their party. You know, but it's just those kind of funny things that you don't think about, like, oh, it's Super Bowl weekend. Well, they're covering that. Or it's Valentine's Day week, you know. So what's the most romantic getaways or travel excursion ideas, you know, for Valentine's Day, for last minute Valentine's Day things? You know, so that type of thing. Is it summer? Is it winter? Is it fall? You know, is it, did something just happen in the news that we want to talk about? You know, that was kind of, you know, a big news story. Is that a news peg that we can use? Or is there a study that just came out about something that people should know about? You know, there was maybe a study, I saw a study recently that came out that said, you know, if you're using marijuana, you're going to have heart problems. Okay, well, maybe there's a connection there that we can talk about, you know, heart health and, you know, the new concerns people should have in heart health might be, you know, because marijuana is really hot now and CBD and hemp, and maybe we want to talk about that. So you're always kind of looking for like, what's a news peg? And so if you can find those four things, you have a great story. If you can find, you know, at least 3 or 2 of those things to tie in and create a news story that you're pitching, that can really help. So you're not going to lead with, this is the best, greatest product, you know, since sliced bread. That's not going to get you anywhere. But leading with, hey, it's Valentine's Day week, and a lot of couples don't, you know, put this off, Valentine's Day planning, and they get hit up really hard with expensive flowers and last minute purchases. What can you do that's last minute that's not going to, you know, kill your wallet for Valentine's Day? So something like that. And then, you know, it might be your product and maybe some other things, you know, because we want to offer, again, it's an educational thing. So it can't be that you're the only solution, but maybe there's some other things you could also offer to them to show them how to build out a story that they might be interested in. And if you do all that work, and that's what I mean by it is more work, then they'll be more receptive to it and not only feature you, you know, but maybe even make the story better once you give them the pitch idea.
I love that. I love that. And what were those? Can you repeat those 4 criteria again for everybody? So everybody get ready to write these down.
Filter, which is, you know, national relevance, what's happening in the world, just overall. Local angle, what's happening in the local community and how is it affecting that community? Human interest, how does it affect other people? Are people using it? Why are they using it? Do you have examples? And then news peg, or why do we need to talk about this right now? You know, is it a holiday? Is it, you know, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Earth Day? You know, what's happening that we can tie it in? Because the news is always tying in to what's, you know, going on with our calendars. You know, is it the Grammys? Is it, you know, what's happening that we can kind of tie this into? Because you want to be talking about what they're already talking about.
I love that. And I think I was speaking at the same time you were speaking when you said the first one. So if you can repeat, actually, you might just repeat those 4 again, because I might have talked over you accidentally.
Sure, that's okay. So the 4 things for the news filter that you want to consider when you're pitching is national relevance. You know, what's going on in the world? What are people talking about? Local angle, you know, what's happening in your specific community that you're pitching that they would be interested in. And then human interest, how does it affect other people? And how are they using it, consuming it? And your news peg, or why do we have to talk about this right now? You know, is it a holiday, a season? Does something just happen?
I love that. Thank you for that. That is awesome. Cool beans. All right. So if you had one bit of advice for these small business owners as it relates to PR, pitching, publicity, what would that one piece of advice be?
I would just say, you know, really going back to our real conversation, be real about it. You know, we're not making stuff up. We want to educate the public about what you're so excited about. You're a business owner, you have something you're really excited about, break it down for them. You know, they may not be as excited as you because they don't understand it. And so you have to really step back from whatever the product is and step back from, oh, I'm just trying to make money, and figure out what is the need, why, how is this a benefit? What makes it different from other products that are out there? Are there other products out there like this? And really take the time to educate others about what it is that you're so excited about that you're trying to sell, rather than just trying to sell it to them. What makes it unique? Maybe you have a interesting story yourself as an entrepreneur. People are interested in buying things from other people when they hear the story. And so sharing your story and being open with people about it and transparent, and not doing it in a way that's contrived, like you're making it up so that you have a story because everybody else has a story. But what is your brand story, and who are you? And are you making clothes, in the United States and helping women get jobs? What is the story behind what you're doing? And that's what you can share to your customers.
I love that. I love that. Wow. I told you, everyone, you were in for a treat, because Amy Summers brings the heat. I don't know why I did that and how it just rhymes, but I might use that again.
Okay.
Amy, this has been amazing. Like the amount of knowledge you dropped on us, and your realness, your authenticity, and helping us do better at our publicity, better at our pitching, better at our PR. This was awesome. And I know you have so much more to share. So I'm hoping I can maybe twist your arm to get you to come back to another summit.
Sure. And I would say, in the meantime, that I would hope your audience, like you, can discover me on Alexa's Amazon or Google Play, or really anywhere you can that you listen to podcasts, iTunes, wherever, Spotify. And if you just search The Pitch with Amy Summers, this is a tool that I use as part of my PR efforts to help people become better communicators. So every single day you can get a tip from me. They're always less than 3 minutes. And I talk about ways that you can communicate not only in your career, but also your personal life, because there's a lot of overlap here. I think that, technology has been a great tool for us, but at the same time, it's made things so easy and so convenient that we've lost some of our communication skills, and we forget how to communicate with others, whether that's in business or at home. And so if you tune into me every day, I have a tip for you every day and a challenge. And until we meet next time, Marcus, that's a great free resource for your audience.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Everyone, I have been listening to The Pitch with Amy Summers now for at least about 2 months or so, every single day as part of my Lexi. It's part of my Lexi morning briefing, where I have several different Alexa briefings. I said she didn't come on. So I have several different Lexi briefings, and it's absolutely amazing. I start my day off with it just about every weekday morning. And so it's awesome. So definitely subscribe if you have not. The Pitch with Amy Summers, awesome. Please, you want this valuable information, and you want it constantly on a daily basis. You saw the little nuggets that we gave today, and there's so many more nuggets. So you want to get those regularly. Amy, any final words for everyone?
Yeah, I just want to tell people how to find me, because sometimes it's hard. The easiest way to find and even enable me on Amazon or any of those other things I told you about is just go to my website, pitchpublicitynyc.com, that you mentioned at the beginning. And if you go to the page that says Pitch, you'll learn all about my flash briefing right there. You can subscribe to it there for free. Again, it's The Pitch with Amy Summers. And then I also have a tab on my website called Advisor. And I've actually taken, I have about 500 of these episodes now, and I've taken them as courses. So if you want to dive deeper and take a pitch course, I have a really affordable way for you to do that for $10 a month. You can pick an area that you need more help in, like maybe communication, networking, research. And for $10 a month, you will get not only my voice, but you'll get my scripts and application questions, and you can go at your own pace and dive deeper. I am professionally trained as a PR specialist. I have a degree, but I also believe that you don't have to be. I don't believe that you have to go to school for this. It can be learned. And I want to be a resource to help people learn how to communicate in the right way and how to use PR successfully in their businesses and careers.
I love that. I love that. Everyone, I told you, you're in for a treat, and you've just witnessed it. Amy Summers, thank you so very much for gracing us, blessing us with Pitch Publicity and how we can do our PR, our pitching, and our publicity even better, taking it to the next level as we look to this theme of 2020 vision, taking our business and our lives to our next level. And so everyone, this concludes this session, but I want you to make sure you check your emails on how to access the next session. It's the same email, same format on how to access each one of these sessions. And so that information is already in your box. Go ahead and access that for the next session. And if you have questions for Amy as well, please make sure to leave them below this video so that we can get to those questions and try to give you even more added value from these sessions. So make sure to leave them right below this video. And with that, everyone, we thank you for attending another amazing session. Amy Summers, we thank you so, so much. You are awesome and amazing. And we look forward to, you all heard it here, she agreed to do another summit with us. So we look forward to seeing you again. We look forward to working with you again. I certainly look forward to speaking with you more often, because I know we have a lot of synergy and a lot of alignment with just our core values between our agencies. And I'm a firm believer that when you combine great marketing with great PR, you really have something that can really help and impact humanity. So we will definitely be talking a lot more often and soon. And with that, everyone, thank you again so much. We will see you in the very next session, Small Biz Better Summit. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you.